Hey, Cowboys fans and any other football fans. Just wanted to hit on a few things about yesterday's game, if you want to call it that. Uh, Obviously, it wasn't very pretty. So I wanted to wait until today to make this video because I was in a bad mood yesterday and I just wanted to think about it, think about what I watched, what I saw, what I didn't see, and make something that was maybe a little less emotional because I was a little ticked off yesterday and just disappointed, I guess would be the best word. So I wrote them down just so I wouldn't forget, just in case. I think one of the biggest disappointments of yesterday was the lack of energy. I don't want to go there with the whole heart, lack of heart, but the energy put out there on the field, aside from the fact that they just whooped us up and down the field. Yeah, I say us, sorry. But other than the fact that they just were better yesterday, the Saints, I don't think the Cowboys showed a whole lot of resiliency. I don't think that they just looked like they were into the game. We've had some games like this in recent years, especially last year. For a 12-win team, we had some losses like the Buffalo Bills game and the Green Bay Packers game in the playoffs where we just don't seem engaged. Things aren't going great in the beginning and you just get the vibe that it's not going to change for the rest of the game. And unfortunately, yesterday, I was getting that feeling and I was watching the game with the only two people in my life that are Cowboys fans around these parts in South Jersey. And I told them I'm a little worried because it doesn't look like, they're really going to get back into this. They just don't seem like they're engaged in it. And I'm not going to say that they gave up, but I just didn't see that drive that we had in week one. And just really hate to see that or not see the heart and that drive that you really want. Offensively, the lack of explosiveness aside from CeeDee Lamb. I know that we are missing Ferguson and he will help, but we knew going into this season, into this past offseason, that we didn't have enough explosiveness on offense, not enough weapons. I am not giving Dak a pass for when he makes a bad throw or when he doesn't make a play that he should make. But regardless of the quarterback, we do not have an offense that has enough weapons to compete with the upper echelon of teams in this league. Brandon Cooks is a decent wide receiver who should be our number 3. We have no running back that scares anybody. And I'm not opposed to Rico Dowdle, but I think Rico should be a backup. And I think we should have brought someone in, whether it was a trade, whether it was through the draft, anything, but we should have brought in another weapon. There is no one on this roster. I mean, Deuce Vaughn is your quickest player. And I like that at least he did get a little bit more yesterday, but as far as playing time, but he just wasn't successful either. We weren't run blocking very well. And we had several times when the Saints rushed 3 on 5 and got home or almost got home and Dak had to run. Terrence Steele, I did not watch the game over again yet. I really don't want to, but I will. Terrence Steele, from my eyes yesterday, casually watching, was terrible. Just no other way to put it. He wasn't the only one. I'm just saying he was terrible. I saw a play where he was on his back. Literally, I saw a play where just initially right off the snap, he's beat. It's 3 on 5. You cannot give up a pressure in that situation. You just can't. You can't let that happen. So that was a really big disappointment. The offense wasn't really good last week. The defense was good. We got a special teams touchdown. And I mean, everybody kind of rallied around that defensive performance and we were able to get a convincing win. But this is 2 weeks in a row where the offense just isn't good enough. It wasn't good enough going into the season and it still isn't. Surprise, surprise. And our front office has to make a move. Do I think they will? Honestly, I'm not sure, but they can't deny that a move needs to be made. And unfortunately, it needs to be made at 2 different positions. I think we need a wide receiver and a running back. Don't know that they'll do that, but at least one of those things has to be fixed. And if it's not, well, here we are. So aside from that, so we're going back on the defensive side. I was extremely disappointed to see that the Marion Overshone played less than every other linebacker. He was the 4th string linebacker, aside from special teams players and things like that. 4th string. He had a great week 1. And yesterday, what we were lacking was speed and a little bit of that extra explosiveness that they were using against us. And we just didn't seem to have it yesterday. And he's your most explosive player on defense with Parsons, the 2 of them. Parsons didn't have a good day either, but I'm just saying Overshone is your fastest player, arguably your fastest player on that side of the ball. And he played less than everybody else. He was your 4th string behind Damone Clark, who did not have a good game. And he played behind him. Now, Leufau, I thought played pretty well, considering how the game went. I thought he was pretty good, but I still don't think he should have played over Overshone. I know he's a physical player, but Demarion Overshone is very physical too. He just happens to also have that elite speed to go along with it. I don't really understand why he wasn't in. I'm not one of those people that's ready to throw dirt on Zimmer yet, but I also can't sit here and say that I'm not extremely disappointed. But the players have to execute. So I'm not ready to just put this all on the defensive coordinator. But if there was one thing I didn't like, it was that Overshown did not play enough. Simple as that. We were in a base defense a lot of the game. I understand that, but Overshown needs to be part of that. He's too good to not be on the field, and he did not play that many snaps yesterday. So it's just, that can't happen. He's one of your best players. I know he didn't play last year with an injury, so it's almost like he's a rookie when it comes to playing in the NFL, but it's already obvious that he needs to be out there for a lot more than he was yesterday. And then the other thing was, I don't know if maybe somebody wants to comment on this. Did anybody else notice that gap assignments yesterday? I mean, there were guys that were actually playing as if they were playing to get blocked. I mean, Kendricks was awesome last week. He was great against Cleveland, and I felt like yesterday he was terrible. I saw multiple plays where he allowed himself to be blocked. I mean, I understand you have another professional going against him, blocking him, but there were multiple plays where everyone, if everyone else was minding their gap assignments, he had to be the next man to fill that hole, and he didn't. And here goes the running back right by him, Kamara, or anybody else for that matter. It really didn't matter who they handed it to. We knew what they were going to do over and over again, and they still were able to do it. But I was just really disappointed with gap assignments and containing the edge. How many times were they going to run to the outside and succeed? Every time, I guess, yesterday. But it just amazed me because everything that they did so well in week one, I know they aren't the same teams. Cleveland is not New Orleans, but as good as they played week one and as sound as they played, they just completely did the opposite yesterday. It's just, we didn't play smart. I don't think it was necessarily as much of, the Saints were creative, with their movement and everything, but it honestly wouldn't have mattered. I think they could have just lined up and like they did plenty of times and just smash mouth football, and we just weren't going to do our job and stop it. So I'm not ready to say the season is over. It's one loss, a very bad one, but it's only one. But I am ready to say, yeah, I'm concerned and I need to see something different. And we are going up against a Ravens team that, yes, they are 0-2, but they're not your typical, 0-2 team going into that game. And if you're the Ravens, if you're Harbaugh, if you're the rest of that team, the first thing you're saying is we need to run the ball in this Dallas defense. We need to make them prove that they can stop the run. And we need to make them prove that they want to stop the run. Somebody needs to get in there, make a big play. I just kept talking to my friend and my mom that I watched the game with yesterday. Please, somebody make a play. Get behind the line of scrimmage, a tackle for loss. We had a few times where we actually did get back there and we didn't make the tackle. I also didn't think Diggs was good yesterday. I mean, coverage-wise, for the most part, he's always going to, be pretty solid. But I thought against the run, which has never been his strength. But I did not like a few plays where he took off out there. He just allowed himself to be blocked. He threw his shoulder into the blocker, and then there goes the running back right by him. So I don't mean to be overly negative, but after a game like that, there really isn't a whole lot of positivity aside from our kicker. He's still doing his job, and he's still, in my opinion, you have to say he's one of the best in the NFL. I mean, I'm biased, but he's the best there is right now. So that was about the only bright spot for me. I don't think anybody else was good enough. And I know they're going to say all the right things this week. We did this last year. But I just hope that this isn't last year. And I hope that we can at least make a couple moves and just make this team as competitive as possible, since the front office already decided they didn't want to do that in the offseason. Maybe we could make a move or two in the coming weeks. You have a few teams that are already done. Carolina's done. They don't have amazing running backs, but they have a couple that would be better than what we have. And as the weeks go on and you decide, you can figure out who's going to be the buyers and sellers. Let's figure that out. And whoever's going to be interested in acquiring some draft picks, we're going to have to unload a couple. I know the front office in Dallas doesn't like to do that. We are a relatively good drafting team, but if you want to be competitive and you really want to even pretend that you're a front office that wants to win this year, I'm tired of hearing it. I want to see it. So yeah, are we going to go out and this is going to be another Amari Cooper type of trade? Probably not, because all they talk about is how they hated not having a first round pick the next year. I thought it was worth it personally. But if that's how they feel, then I don't expect a move like that. But we do need to make a move that actually moves the needle. If we don't, it's going to be a lot more of this. I don't think we're going to necessarily get blown out every week like that, but you're not going to be able to stack together enough wins if you're not willing to go for it and really try. So all in, let's not even go there with the all in, but let's at least make a little bit of an effort. But as far as this week goes, it's going to, be the same roster. So let's just hope that we get some better effort and some better execution, because there's nothing Zimmer will be able to do on that side of the ball with that defense if he doesn't get better execution. You could call up the best defensive plays, the best scheme for that game, and it wouldn't matter if your guys aren't willing to make the right read, make the tackle, make a play on the ball. That stuff just didn't happen yesterday. So glad I was able to get through this without any cuss words, and that's why I didn't do this yesterday. So I hope everybody has a good rest of their day, and I'm just glad. I mean, my college team had a good weekend, but aside from that, yesterday was brutal. So let's see how it goes next week, and until then, you all have a good rest of your day.